Hello friends, Tanya here with another fun video. Today we are going to learn how to take a turnabout and make it into a larger sized pattern. I just grabbed the first turnabout I could find, and it was the Apple Orchard Turnabout. And we're going to give all the credit to Robin Cooper, one of my followers, and her husband who figured out how to do this, and she sent this information to me. I have to share it with you because it is such an awesome thing to do. So the first thing you do is you line up your stamp on your image here, and then you take that stamp that is stuck to the acrylic pattern and you line it up on your jig, which has this X on it. Once you have that all lined up inside your MISTI, you're going to close the lid and pick the stamp up. I hope that was clear. There's lots of videos about that. Once you have that adhered to your MISTI, now it's important to do this extended version. You need the largest MISTI. This is the memory MISTI. It's 12 by 12. We're going to use some Concord and Ninth inks here. We've got honeysuckle, cranberry, poppy, and sprout. You're going to start with a 6 by 11 piece of cardstock, and you're going to align that into the corner of the MISTI that you aligned your stamp into. Now, normally, I have the lid on the right side, opening towards the right. But in order for me to film this, I had to take this outside, prop it up on some boxes, and turn it the other way so you could see what I was doing. So you're going to stamp like you normally would for the first pass. For the second pass, you're just going to rotate it once so that the long part is at the other end of the MISTI. Now, you can use the sticky mat or not. I've done it both ways. The sticky mat, for me, was sometimes helpful, sometimes not. I didn't actually end up double stamping any of this because my ink pads are nice and juicy. Remember, I recently re-inked. For step 3, you're going to have part of this paper hanging out. You're going to line it up with the 6-inch line on the horizontal ruler, whether that's top or bottom. However you've got this turned, that's the way you're going to do it. And then for step 4, you're going to line it up at the 6-inch line on the vertical ruler so that half of your paper is hanging out the other direction. I used 3 different reds and a green on this particular one. And since I was using reds, I didn't clean the stamp between, but with the green, I did. And ultimately, my green got a little muddied because red and green make brown. That's okay. Now we're going on to portion 2. You're going to line up on the vertical line, the corner, to the 5.5-inch line on the vertical ruler. I know it's scary. You're going to carefully line that up with that 5.5-inch line. And then you're going to, well, I'm going to fight with my sticky mat because it keeps sticking to my fingers. And I'm going to ink up the stamp and close the lid partially, make sure it will line up appropriately, and stamp our image. So far, so good. I'm going to clean the green off because I'm going to switch back to red. And then we're going to rotate again, and we're going to line up at the 1/2-inch line on the vertical ruler again. You're butting that edge up against the edge of the MISTI, but you're going to line up at the 1/2-inch mark. Part of your stamp is going to stamp off of the paper, and that's okay. I am looking at the apple seeds in the half parts of the apple to make sure that this is going to line up properly. On this pattern, that was just the spot that seemed the easiest for me to look at. Once I have that lined up appropriately, I'm going to turn this again, and this time I'm going to line it up with the 5.5-inch mark on the horizontal ruler. Again, butting that all the way up to the edge, top edge of the MISTI. Then we'll stamp it again. I'm just making sure I don't have any ink on the parts of the part that flips up and down, the plate, that would touch the cardstock when I close it. And for the last one, we're going to line up to the 1/2-inch mark on the horizontal ruler again, and this will be our last pass. I can't believe how easy this was. Once Robin explained it to me. It is so simple. Well, I mean, it is 8 steps, but it's still simple. It's pretty cool. And there is my completed pattern. Look at that. So cute. I am so thankful. Thank you very much, Robin. Next, I'm going to pull out some stuff I haven't used in a while. This is the A7 double stitched rectangles from Honeybee Stamps, and I die cut the pattern from that. I added some extra cardstock on the back of this panel, and we'll adhere that to a 5x7 card base. So happy that I was able to create a pattern that will cover a piece of cardstock that I can use for my 5x7 cards. Next, we're going to take some coordinating dies here, and we're going to stamp on this. This is Poppy cardstock from Spellbinders. This is the new color wheel cardstock. It is heavy. It is nice 100-pound cardstock, and it is so smooth, and it embosses beautifully. So I am going to stamp this because I can't help myself 3 times with clear embossing ink. And then I'm going to bring in some white embossing powder. This is the Alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, my favorite white embossing powder. And I'm going to sprinkle that over I did use the, what do you call it? Anti-static powder tool. There we go. Before I started this, and you can see that powder all over the cardstock. We'll heat set that. And here we've got a beautiful stamping and embossing. Once that cooled, I used my microfiber cloth and brushed off that extra powder. We're going to trim that down so that it'll fit through my scout here. I'm going to tape that in place using this apple-shaped die. This is a die that coordinates with the apple turnabout. Then we're going to die cut the little inside of the apple piece from white cardstock. I do cut out a green apple also. We're going to cut a couple of leaves from this darker green. I used green from my stash bin, but you could use Spellbinders Color Wheel Fern and Rainforest, I think is what those 2 colors are. I'm going to adhere the white to the right side of the apple, and there are 3 little pips or seeds that you can put that represent the core of the apple. That's 1 die that cuts out those little seeds, and I cut them from some craft cardstock. I also cut the stem from some craft cardstock. You could go with a darker color. I just kept it kind of subtle. We'll add a little glue to the stem here and add that to our little apple. Now these dies came out, I think in 2022, maybe last. It's been a while. I've had them in my stash for a while. They've been wanting to be used. Again, it was the first turnabout that I laid my hands on. I wasn't going to be too picky because I was so excited after Robin messaged me those instructions. I had to do it right away because I am a shiny squirrel too. This is probably why I love this craft so much. So now that I have these 2 large apples, we're going to reach back even further in the Concord and 9th. This is the Friendship Farms stamp and die set. I don't even know how old these are. They might even be pre-pandemic. Wow. They are, maybe not. I'm not positive. They're really fun though. I love them. Anything farmer's market, garden, fall. I love it all. There's this die that creates a label, and there are some stamps that coordinate with this. They fit right in this arch. I'm using some Concord and 9th wheat ink to stamp the sentiments, and this reads Friendship Farms handpicked. I thought that was perfect with these apples. It's kind of cool that the apples from several years ago that the dies from several years ago and stamps coordinate so well with this newer set because these did not release in the same year. I add extra cardstock in various spots to make sure all of these pieces are nice and level and well supported on the front of the card. We'll just adhere that, centering it as well as I can. And I probably could have and should have put a bigger element behind even that label to add a higher contrast between the pattern and the main images on the front of the card. There are 2 little apple dies in this die set that cut out the apples in this pattern that we create. And of course, I die cut them all. Next, we're going to take a stamp from that same stamp set and stamp it on the inside of the card using those same colors of ink. We've got honeysuckle, poppy, and cranberry, and I'm going to do some gradient stamping here. I stamped with the lightest color first, then the next color and the medium color. And I'm using my ink blending brush here to soften the transition between colors. I think I go back and stamp the honeysuckle again because I wanted that to be just a little bit more solid on the top portion. And that'll darken up the poppy also. We'll take the cranberry and add just a little bit on the bottom edge of this and come back with a red blending brush. I have blending brushes dedicated to color families, not dedicated to colors. I have ink blending sponges dedicated to individual distress colors, but families of the rest of the ink kinds. We're going to take those die cut little apples from the pattern and we're going to line those up under the sentiment. Once I have them lined up where I roughly want them, I'm going to use my tweezers, because I have big clumsy fingers, to pick up each of these apples, add a little glue, and lay them back down onto the inside of the card. I really like to decorate the insides of my cards. We put enough work into these cards that they should have a beautifully polished, well, mine should have a beautifully polished inside. And that completes my extended Turnabout card. If you had as much fun watching this as I did making it, awesome, because I had a blast. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Give Robin lots of love in those comments below. Check that description box for the link to the products that I used today. And until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.